Welcome back. Today we're going to do a quick chat on a new dongle. This is the Rose Techniques RS9039. I think it's called the ROSESELSA is what you see more often online. So this one is, what's really special about this one, it is the ESS 9039. And on the back you do get a little cool display of kind of a schematic. No volume buttons, but you do get a 4.4 and a 3.5. So kind of minimal, I guess minimal design. It actually looks quite nice. It's quite light, but as far as buttons or extra features, lights, LEDs, all those things, it's not really that style. Those of you familiar with Rose Techniques sets in the past, you know they actually have this really cool box that they've used before. It looks like this. What is it? It says Create Difference. It's actually a really nice box, and I think it's the TWS that came with a box like this. Maybe it was another set that came with. I have another box by them that's I think it's a TWS that's very similar to this box. They do very nice box, as you can see. The actual packaging looks like this, and it's got some specs, which we will talk about in a second. So why do you want it? And this is pretty much the same reason why I reached out to HifiGo and expressed interest in this specific dongle, because it is an ESS 9039, and I'm not sure if this is the very first one, but definitely one of the first commercially available dongles with that chip. And I have that chip. I have the Pro version in my desktop. So as soon as I saw the dongle, I kind of reached out to Rose Techniques originally, and they said, no, HifiGo is going to go handle it, so go ask them. And they were nice enough to actually send this to me. So very much thank HifiGo for entertaining me and allowing me to put my hands on one of the first 9039s. But yeah, essentially, I think people who are looking up this dongle are going to be into hearing one of the first devices with that specific chip. So other specs, so ES9039, the weight, power, so on single-ended, 240 milliwatts, not too bad, 300 on balance, so actually got quite a bit of power to it. I think that's pretty reasonable. This one costs, I think it's either $75 or $79, so kind of mid-pack. It's not super affordable, not super expensive. Power is kind of right there in the mid-pack as well, so I think they kind of got the basic gist of delivering a device that is going to be appealing to people kind of right in that respect. Not mentioned in the marketing, or not mentioning in the specs, but something they mentioned in the marketing. They say almost zero background noise, and I sort of agree. I think it's got some pretty low background noise, which is always a good thing. But if you're in 2024 and buying recent dongles, you kind of notice that most of them have almost zero background noise. But I sort of applaud them for pointing that out, because that is something that I care about as well. So definitely give them little props. It's important to see them mention it because it's important to me. So sound, and this one kind of right away I sort of noticed that probably not going to be in my preference range. I definitely look for more transparent style sound signatures, especially on dongles. And on dongles, you're always going to get some kind of coloring. Maybe there's a little more bass, sometimes they're a little bit brighter, sometimes it sounds a little bit smaller. I mean, they tend to have kind of small coloring things to them, some slight changes from what you would listen to on your desktop, and I think that's kind of fine. But on this one, it tends to hit you on both ends. It sounds like there's more bass and less treble. It doesn't really resemble what I would call a typical ESS style sound signature, which are typically kind of a cleaner, more expanded, and slightly brighter. This one is definitely not like that. And ironically, I think the black background and the zero background noise actually gets a little cluttered because they filled it with bass. And I'm not sure why they decided to add some bass to it. It's kind of odd to me, but it's, it kind of lost me on, it wasn't quite transparent enough. Like some of the sets that I was plugging into, like I just reviewed the Super Mix 4, and Super Mix 4 sort of lost that U-shape sound signature to it. So now it wasn't so clean in the mids. It added some bass. They brought down the treble. And again, when you do those two things at the same time, you get more of a bass presence. And it sort of lost the characteristic U-shape on Super Mix. And, I think it's just hard to, it's hard for me to continue using things that change the sound that much, where I sort of lose what makes a set special. And it kind of gets, maybe they prefer this kind of sound signature. I don't know. It definitely took on a more relaxed, fatigue-free sound if you're into that. But it definitely really hard to tell if if there's less extension or the extension was just kind of masked in the base. They definitely did something to it, but definitely another dongle that you wouldn't buy for the transparency, as I was talking about, but to really counter bright, lean IMs. And I think it does that pretty well. It colors with a warm, smooth sound signature. You know, that's not good or bad. It's just something to be aware of when you're listening to it. Wasn't really my preference, but if that is something that you are looking for, then definitely go check out the Rose Techniques RS9039. So that's what I got on that one. So thank you guys again for tuning in, and I will see you next time.